And good day to you all. We are the National Alliance on Mental Illness affiliate here in Syracuse. We're known naturally enough as NAMI Syracuse. We were recently invited by another nonprofit in town to speak to their foster grandparents group, particularly about the phenomenon of cluttering. The darker side of cluttering, of course, is called hoarding. In this video, I want to describe cluttering and hoarding and describe how these behaviors might affect your life. First, let's start with some basic definitions. What do we mean by mental health? Think about your physical health. When you're in good physical health, you feel good. When you're in poor physical health, you feel sick. MedlinePlus.gov defines mental health as a state encompassing all aspects of your emotional, psychological, and social well being. Your mental health, good or bad, dictates how you behave, how you relate to people, the way you live your entire life. It directly affects your life choices. But be careful about the appearance of health. The appearance of good physical health can be deceiving. High blood pressure or hypertension is not always easy to spot. An otherwise healthy looking person with hidden hypertension can be at high risk of stroke or heart disease. Likewise, the appearance of good mental health can be deceiving. It's easy to spot a person with a broken arm or a broken leg, but how easy is it to spot a person with a broken heart? When your mental health is in good shape, you thrive in life, you are resilient, you can handle the challenges that normal life throws your way. Our parent organization, NAMI National, keeps records on mental illness. Today, there are about 277 million Americans over the age of 18. We call them adults. 1 in 5 of these American adults are afflicted with one or form or another of mental illness, and that's roughly 55 million American adults. Now, 1 in 20 of these American adults, that's nearly 14 million people, are afflicted with severe life altering conditions of mental illness, such as schizophrenia, post traumatic stress syndrome, obsessive compulsive behaviors. In a few minutes, I'm going to include hoarding in this category. Some mental illnesses are easy to spot. The angry, naked man out in the middle of the street screaming obscenities and swinging a machete. He stands out. It's not so easy to spot a person suffering depression. Depression and anxiety are often referred to as so called invisible disabilities. Depression and anxiety can lead to far darker things. The second leading cause of death in teenagers and young adults is suicide. Let that sink in. Mental illnesses tend to manifest themselves early in teenage years and they become progressive with age. According to the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, 5th edition of, or DSM 5, there are nearly 300 clinically recognized mental illnesses. Some are common, such as depression, anxiety disorders. They are among the most common of the mental health disorders, but they can be hard to detect. Most mental illnesses are relatively rarer conditions, such as schizophrenia, PTSD, obsessive compulsive disorders, and so forth. They can be relatively rare. We sometimes see persons afflicted with more than one disorder. For example, a person afflicted with both depression and PTSD. And complicating all diagnoses is the confounding of mental illness with chemical dependencies and substance abuse. Roughly 80% of American adults, that's about 220 million American adults, are in a state of so called good mental health. They do not exhibit clinical symptoms of mental illness. Now, roughly 55 million American adults are afflicted with mental illness. As we've said, they're not as easy to spot. Roughly 14 million American adults exhibit severe life altering, if not life threatening, conditions. Included in this, we'll see in a minute, are millions of hoarders. We'll get to the numbers in a minute. Is cluttering a type of behavior that can be classified as a mental illness? Not by itself. First of all, what exactly is clutter? Clutter is made up of things that we choose to acquire or keep, in spite of these things being unnecessary and occasionally not even wanted. To some extent, everyone is a clutterer. We hold on to certain things: our fashionable clothing, old concert tickets, photographs, albums, your great grandparents' jewelry. These are things that we store. They have value for us. We keep them in drawers, in closets, in attics, spare bedrooms, basements, garages, commercial storage units. Storage by itself is not the problem. Storage becomes clutter when the items that we keep begin to impose upon your everyday activities. Items begin to impede your everyday life. What does clutter look like? Well, let's start with me. Confession of a clutterer. I am a clutterer. I live alone in a one bedroom apartment, and I choose particular places for my clutter. My dining room table is just inside my front door. When I come home, I dump certain items immediately on the table. Non perishable items in packages that I bring in, my mail. My mail consists almost entirely of unnecessary items. I pay almost all of my bills online, so my paper mail consists almost completely of vendor ads, political ads, restaurant promotions, car dealer promotions, and occasionally an important item like a federal announcement about Social Security or a change in my insurance policies. I usually go 4 or 5 days without sorting my mail or unpacking purchases, so they mostly just sit on the table. But I do keep my kitchen and bathroom clean and clutter free. That's a habit that I have. My personal home work desk accumulates a lot of clutter. Unopened Christmas cards, holiday decorations. I only clear my home work desk 2 or 3 times a year because I don't do any important work at home. My bedroom is a mix of cluttered and uncluttered spaces. I keep my everyday walking spaces clutter free. I make my bed every day, but I also keep unused furniture and pack boxes and crates off to one side. My office desk at NAMI Syracuse is an interesting space. I allow clutter to accumulate, but only up to a certain point. I share the office with our executive director and a few daily volunteers that come in now and then. So every 2 or 3 weeks, I will stop my work for an hour or two and completely declutter my workspace. I make this a regular practice, mainly as a courtesy to my office mates, but also to keep track of important items. As I said, most American adults see clutter as an alternative form of storage, but storage becomes clutter when the items begin to get in the way of your everyday life. Cluttering behavior by itself is not a symptom of mental disorder, but as cluttering turns into hoarding, we see symptoms of mental illness begin to emerge. DSM 5 classifies hoarding as a mental illness classified within obsessive compulsive disorders. It is characterized as a consistent difficulty with discarding clutter. This persistent difficulty in decluttering leads to symptoms of clinical stress and anxiety. Hoarders are persons who will not or cannot declutter. Let's use a Venn diagram. All hoarders are clutterers, but not all clutterers are hoarders. It is the appearance of clinical stress and anxiety that characterizes hoarding. Now, the clutter is not only a minor impediment or a minor annoyance, it's actually a threat to your happiness. Your clutter has taken control of your life. The American Psychiatric Association estimates that some 2.6% of American adults, that's about 9 million American adults, are afflicted with hoarding disorder. It's generally found in higher prevalence among elderly. Interestingly enough, the global prevalence rates of hoarding are similar across international boundaries and cultures. Hoarders are found in all societies. Also, interestingly, prevalence rates of hoarding are similar between men and women. So, why do we clutter and run the risk of becoming hoarders? We all know the reasons: time. energy, valuation, sentimentality, habit, fear. Cluttering becomes hoarding when we cross that threshold of minor annoyance with clutter and move on to clinical symptoms. Anxiety, impaired focus and paralysis, physical danger, irritability, frustration, and especially shame and guilt. What is decluttering? It is an action of removing unnecessary things from your living and working spaces. It makes your space more manageable. And when your space becomes more manageable, your life becomes more manageable and happier too. There's a great truth in some of the old sayings. Time for a good spring cleaning, so on and so on. There's an internet sensation now, Kylene Kelly, that I ran across. Kayleen Kelly is a professional advisor on decluttering, and she produces some very useful YouTube videos. I checked out a few of them, they're very good. Kayleen's decluttering involves a series of stages, 4 stages. First, collect, remove the trash, throw away the candy wrappers, the recycled soda cans, the empty bottles. Second, categorize. Put all apples with apples, all oranges with oranges. For example, put all your sweaters in one drawer, put all your leather belts in another drawer, put all your shoes in one particular closet. You put like things together. Next, for each category, you cut out, you remove all the non essentials. Sweaters with holes in them, get rid of them if they're no longer functional for you. And finally, contain. Make sure that each category gets its own particular home. You'll never put a sweater in with the drawer with the leather belts. You'll never put the shoes in with your books. Each category gets its own home. Decluttering should be an ongoing process, a little bit like my regular habit of decluttering my desk at work. And we repeat these steps on a periodic basis. Now, recognize first that decluttering does have a cost. It takes energy and it takes change in your habits. But there are definite benefits. You have a feeling of control over your life again. There's less worry. You're not worried about, oh, where did I leave my phone? Now I'm late for work. You have improved physical safety, especially the reduction of physical objects that you can stumble over, trip over, inflammable objects, things that can be fire hazards. It gives you a feeling of comfort and improves self esteem. In other words, it leads to a happier life. So, with that said, what are you waiting for now? Declutter and start this process for yourselves. If you'd like to learn more about decluttering, shoot us an email, give us a phone call. We can help you out. Thank you for your attention.